I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for January the 8th on a Tuesday, brought to you in part by Cargill R&M, or Right Now Mineral. Grass changes with the seasons. Shouldn't your mineral? Right Now Minerals are formulated to allow you to match your mineral feeding program to the growing seasons, forage conditions, and nutritional needs of your cattle. Learn more at rightnowmineral.com. After a big Monday run of cattle and your feeder cattle auctions, just makes you feel good that your auction markets are this healthy and as strong as they've been for many years, and just huge runs in all of your high volume sales, big runs in your regional auctions. Just everybody that had a sale barn and had it open on Monday had a big run after the 2-week holiday break, and a lot of calves to sell. The market held up fairly well with all the supply pressure there, and we'll talk about several feeder cattle markets later on in the report. But be interesting to see at the end of the week, when we see the totals on the reported auction markets, how heavy that volume is. Probably will be one of the biggest sale weeks for many years, maybe 10 years at least. But let's look at the board on Monday. February live cattle futures up $1.27. A lot of support on the board on opening up on a Monday. Your February contracts went closed at 123.20. April was up $1.07, ended the day at 125.07. January feeder cattle up $1.10, and they hadn't been doing near that well earlier in the day, but up $1.10 at the close, ending at 146 even. And your March feeder cattle up $1.07 at 143.90. Not sure if that article that we talked about at the end of last week from Barron's about the cattle market looking to climb 15% on your futures had anything to do, but all of a sudden we got some support kind of out of nowhere. Fat cattle trade, your roundup for last week, 101,700 head in your 5-area feeding region, and that was pretty darn good. We really only knew that it was in the high 70s later in the week. That means we just had some more late week sales, and they were at least at the market. But market just kind of steadied weak. Actually a little bit disappointing. It looked like probably during the holidays we had some things to make us think that things could be higher in your fat cattle trade, and then it looked like early in your New Year's week that we might get, maybe $1.25, sure $1.24, and then your board was moderately lower middle of the week after the New Year's Day holiday, and then just kind of faded off and then down hard on Friday. But your Southern Plains gave up on Thursday afternoon, kind of early in the day. I know there was a point there where the basis got positive, which they hadn't seen for several trading days there, but still that 123 was kind of a give up there last Thursday. And then when the board was down pretty hard on Friday, then your Northern Plains traded a lot of cattle at 122.5. So sure steady to weak. But your weighted averages come out pretty good because we didn't see a whole lot of sales outside of the main volume there. But your live steers averaged 122.55 in your 5-area feeding region last week, and that was up actually 3 cents compared to the weighted average from the previous week. Your dress sales were by and large 195 everywhere. Your weighted average on dress steers come out to be 194.64, up 39 cents from the previous week's dress weighted average. Nationwide, they sold 122,500 head, a good movement there. 31,900, or 26% of the total volume, was for that 2 to 4 week delivery to kind of get the packers some cattle out front. But on Monday, was able to go to the Cactus headquarters there in downtown Amarillo, and for those of you that didn't know, and I guess it just happened a week or so ago, but I didn't know, I went to the old gold building there out off Georgia Street, and they had moved downtown to the Chase Towers on the 28th floor, and pretty impressive set of offices there they have for for cactus feeders, and you can look out any window on there and you can see plumb out of town all the way around that floor that they've got on the 28th there at Chase Towers. They're the tallest building in Amarillo downtown. But put another National Beef Wire in there, 2 more in there, so they have a total of 5 in there. So if you guys are on Cattle Market Central, you have big strings of cattle selling on there. They're scrolling on this board right here behind me. These big procurement outfits are seeing that, because most all of them now have the National Beef Wire screen running in their office. They can't keep up with all the sales, but they can see the biggest drafts of cattle and how they're selling all over the country by watching that National Beef Wire. And you need to be letting us tap into that data right off the block in Cattle Market Central, and then that's where we pick all that up. So if you're not getting that done, you're missing out. It's free, and we'll actually give you a free one of these screens if you'll sign up with us and let us have that. We just pull the market data, the head count, the class, the weight, the price, right from your clerk system there, and then it's time stamped, and it's a pretty slick deal. And a lot of people are getting these screens, and a lot of them are watching it. And if you're not involved in it, then you're not getting noticed. But let's look at your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on Beef Market Central, 144.25 late on Monday. That's down 69 cents from what it was the end of last week. Big sales, big high volume sales. Joplin Regional Stockyards, Mark Harmon sent me a message there late and said they were expecting 14,000 head of cattle, and I really didn't think they would be able to get there in this day and time, having that many cattle on a one-day sale. He sent me the final tally: 13,853 head of cattle in a one-day sale. Joplin Regional Stockyards, Carthage, Missouri. They started at 4 o'clock in the morning. They were done before 10 o'clock at night. That's a lot of cattle to pump through a ring in one day, and the market held up fairly well. But we'll talk about it in a minute. Oklahoma National Stockyards had a big run too, 11,000 for them, which is not unusual for them when the runs are big, but it's good to see the National Stockyards getting a big run. Feeder steers there, steady to $3 higher. Now, interesting spots they quoted, the USDA did, up to $6 higher on the heaviest steers. And I think maybe that's just because they overdid it on the last reported market, which would have been before Christmas. So they kind of overdid it, taking off on those heavier weights. But your calves were a little bit lower. Joplin Regional Stockyards, like I've been talking, end up with near 14,000 head of cattle. Now, they were kind of the opposite. They're lighter weight calves. Steers weighing under 550, almost your peewee calves, and your heifers weighing 500, where they have lots and lots of them there at Joplin, and they get a lot of people coming from outside the region to buy those lighter weight calves to get them started good and get them ready for early spring turnout. Those lightweight calves were $2 to $7 higher. Now, your heavier cattle, heavier feeder calves, and wouldn't have had very many short yearlings, but your heavier calves there at Joplin, steady to $4 lower. Got several individual quotes. I want to apologize for my Monday feeder flash where I pronounce Glasgow, Kentucky as Glasgow, and I learned to read in eastern New Mexico, and that's how they taught me how to read that. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I know how it feels to have somebody mispronounce your hometown or a town that's next to you. And I thought I'd been around enough to know most of them, but I missed that one, and I apologize for it. But let's look at several quotes. I'm going to go from lightweight calves all the way up to some heavy calves. But Joplin Regional Stockyards on Monday there, late in the day, they had 481 pound steers, nearly a load of them. Light calves bring $184. That's a pretty good quote on some lightweight calves. Get into some heavier calves. Let's go to Faith Livestock Commission in Faith, South Dakota. 84 head of 646 pound steer calves bring $166.25. Getting a little bit bigger. Platte Valley Livestock had our biggest string on all these big sales we've had all over the country. Platte Valley Livestock in Gearing, Nebraska had the biggest draft of them. 313 head of steers in one whack, weighed 881 pounds at 147.10. That's a very, very impressive quote there on a big long string of cattle going through the ring at one time. And now our biggest Aberdeen livestock sales, Aberdeen, South Dakota, 165 head of February calves weighing 1,002 pounds. Boy, they've had it pretty good all their lives so far, but what it's going to give them is a short life. But 165 head weighed 1,002 pounds on the average. Red steers 141.40 on some big cattle, and we're talking about moving those through the system pretty fast. But that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.